In the upcoming UFC event, it might be Tony Ferguson's last fight in his UFC career. A lot of training footage has been released where Tony Ferguson is seen training really well. In this video, we will analyze this training footage and discuss whether Tony Ferguson can win this fight. Also, there is a buzz that Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler has been rebooked. Both Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler have updated about it on their social media accounts. So, we will also try to predict the next probable date for Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler in this video. But before that, please like the video and subscribe our channel Learn from Fighters to enjoy such UFC combat sports content in English and to get in-depth technique breakdowns and analysis of fights. So brothers, first, let's talk about Tony Ferguson. If we look at Tony Ferguson's career and his fighting record in the UFC, he had the record for the longest win streak. Now, he also has the record for the longest active losing streak. He has lost 7 consecutive fights in the UFC. He is currently tied with BJ Penn, who also lost 7 consecutive fights. Tony Ferguson is on a 7-fight losing streak, but Tony Ferguson has an upcoming fight on August 2nd. If Tony Ferguson loses this fight, he will have the longest losing streak in UFC history. As a Tony Ferguson fan, brothers, it is very difficult to believe that this has really happened. Tony Ferguson is on a 7-fight losing streak. 3 or 4 years ago, we couldn't have even imagined this. Tony Ferguson was on a mighty run with 12 fight wins, one of the legends of the UFC lightweight division. But literally a lot has changed in 2 or 3 years. Tony Ferguson took back-to-back losses continuously, and now his last fight might be on August 2nd in the UFC Abu Dhabi event, and his final opponent is going to be Michael Chiesa. I am calling this the last fight because Dana White has given Tony Ferguson many chances. Personally, I think the Paddy Pimblett fight was also unnecessarily given to Tony Ferguson just to hype up Paddy Pimblett. I think the Bobby Green fight should have been Tony Ferguson's final fight. But still, one more fight has been offered to Tony Ferguson, and he is going to fight. Dana White has also said in his interviews that regardless of the result, Tony Ferguson should take retirement whether he wins or loses this fight because this fight is coming up soon. Regarding this, a lot of training footage of Tony Ferguson is coming out. We all know that no matter how many fights Tony Ferguson loses, the hope associated with him revives. Even in this training footage, Tony Ferguson is looking very good, very fast, and very accurate. Definitely, he is almost 40 years old, and training with such speed is very impressive. Tony Ferguson's training footage always comes out, but this time I am making videos on it because earlier Tony Ferguson's training videos were very wild and erratic. They were not targeted training footage. Sometimes Tony Ferguson would run 10 kilometers, sometimes he would be lifting and throwing a wooden log. But this time, for the first time, we are seeing Tony Ferguson's bag workout videos where he is training on a punching bag. His speed bag training videos are also coming out, but here he is actually training with a punching bag. It seems like this time Tony Ferguson is training under a dedicated coach, and a calculated approach is being taken for the fight. If this is happening, it is very good because Tony Ferguson has come on such a long losing streak due to many bad decisions and bad training. If you don't know, brothers, Tony Ferguson has self-trained for the majority of his career. MMA is a fast-evolving sport, and fighters evolve quickly. Their training styles are figured out. Tony Ferguson did not evolve his training style and fighting style accordingly, which is why he faced such a long losing streak. This training footage looks like normal training footage, not wild training footage. And from this, I would like to hint that maybe Tony Ferguson can perform better in this fight. Brothers, if you want to see my overall opinion, this fight is going to be in the 170-pound weight category, and this is the most concerning thing for me. Michael Chiesa becomes a very big and heavy fighter in the 170-pound category. He is very tall and can easily wrestle Tony Ferguson for 3 rounds to win this fight. Personally, if you ask me about the winning percentage, I think overall this is not a very winnable fight for Tony Ferguson. His fights against Bobby Green and Paddy Pimblett were more winnable, but Michael Chiesa seems like a very smart and talented fighter to me. Although he is also 36 years old and out of his prime, he has not faced the same kind of damage and longevity issues as Tony Ferguson. Comparatively, he is definitely a fresher fighter, and if he wants, he can easily win this fight by simply using wrestling. As a Tony fan, it is difficult to accept, but still, a neutral opinion would be that this is a more winnable fight for Michael Chiesa. What are your opinions about this? Please let me know in the comment section below. And since we're talking about fights, we all know that last month we all had a big heartbreak when Conor McGregor pulled out of his fight because of an injury to his pinky toe. Finally, some positive news is coming out. Both Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler have updated that they have talked to Dana White and a positive date has been decided. Conor McGregor has also said that this fight can definitely happen in 2024. Now, let's try to predict the possible date for this fight. The upcoming UFC events are already scheduled, like UFC 304, where Bilal Muhammad is going to fight, UFC 305 with Israel Adesanya, UFC 306 Noche UFC, where most probably the main event is going to be Max Holloway versus Ilia Topuria. A fighter of Conor McGregor's stature will definitely headline a fight card, so there are chances for UFC 307, which is scheduled around October 8th, and there are no announcements yet about who is going to fight in it. UFC 308 is the Abu Dhabi card, and I don't think UFC will headline Conor McGregor in that event, as Islam Makhachev is going to fight there. UFC 309 might be the Madison Square Garden event, and most probably Jon Jones is going to fight there. It is possible that we might see Jon Jones and Conor McGregor on the same card, which can create an epic card. However, it will be interesting to see if the UFC puts a non-title fight at the top headline and puts a champion in the co-main event, which might be problematic. Brothers, according to my estimate, I think Conor McGregor's fight can happen in UFC 309 or 310, which are the November and December events. These were my rough estimates that I have shared with you. If you have any additional information, please share it with me in the comment section below. Until then, if you liked this video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video with the next update. Bye-bye.